Hi guys, my name is Alex. Some of y'all may know me as Ace on Instagram, on TikTok, and maybe even on Snapchat. This will be my first official video talking up front to y'all about just a little bit of who I am, what I do, and how I got into bodybuilding. So I started lifting at 7th grade of middle school. I got into it just because of football. I didn't know how to play football. I just loved lifting weights, and I love the atmosphere in general of it, of being surrounded by people who have the same goal in mind. I have almost around 10 years of weightlifting training experience and just about 2 years of bodybuilding. Throughout my middle school year and my high school year, I kept lifting all throughout, just because of football and wrestling and playing track. Lifting was just a huge staple in my training throughout my whole career. I started around 175 my 7th grade year of football. I never touched weights. I started going to the gym. My dad had started inviting me to the gym 5 days a week. We just did whatever was available. We just trained really, really hard. And yeah, my dad was pretty much the person that got me into the gym. The year I transitioned from football training, or just from trying to play football, to straight up bodybuilding, was my senior year, going into my freshman year of college. I knew that I wasn't going to play college football, so I transitioned to bodybuilding, and I started lifting 5-6 days a week. Sometimes I even bumped it down to 4 once I got into college, just to kind of allow myself to focus on school and studying and have more time. But I picked up my coach my freshman year, second semester of my freshman year of college, and I weighed in at around 185, 195, or 193. And we decided we should do a show that same year. So we decided to do the Texas State Pro-Am in San Marcos, which is where I go to college. And that was my first show, not knowing anything about bodybuilding, just barely getting into it. I was never introduced to a bodybuilding gym until my sophomore year, where I got a membership to a private bodybuilding gym in San Antonio, the opposite direction of San Marcos. And ever since, I fell in love with the gym. I love the atmosphere, I love the people, the weights, just the community was just perfect in what I wanted to achieve my goal for. Growing up, being the young one, being the young brother of one big brother, I kind of got picked on a buttload, and I did a lot of picking on my big brother. But being the younger one, being this much smaller one, I just had that passion just to want to be bigger than my brother. And so I think that's kind of what a deep root of mine that kind of got me to stay in the gym and try to get bigger than my brother. He wasn't a big lifter, but he just was naturally big. He was 6 foot tall and much bigger than I was. And I was just shy of 6 foot, or a couple inches short of 6 foot. And I just had that fire in me that just to want to get bigger than him, to kind of say, hey, your little brother is not so little anymore. My freshman year, I decided to do the Texas State Pro-Am in San Marcos, and I did not know that this was a really competitive show. But knowing that it's really close, my parents were completely on board with it. I knew I had the whole outline and the whole map, the whole timeline for my sophomore year, my freshman year of college mapped out already for me. So I did that show. This was my first year with my first coach, and we put on a lot. He let me put on a lot of weight for this first show, just because we didn't know how well I was gonna react to high dense carb foods, and even a mini cut, or even on prep. And he helped me optimize my training. I had multiple coaches who optimized my posing on top of my coach as well. Over time, posing became a really huge passion of mine as I was in off season, and even more in a prep. I just fell in love with the idea of just showing your body in a beautiful way to thousands of people and making yourself look presentable, which I always kind of had that subconscious mindset of wanting to always look presentable everywhere I go. As I finished up my first year of college, my freshman year, and I got into my sophomore year of college. That was when my prep began. But before my prep had even got started, unfortunately, my brother had passed away. He passed away due to suicide, and it was quite unfortunate. He wasn't living with me at the time. He was away in the military, and he was home for Christmas break, and that broke my heart, and I didn't know how I was going to react and manage that stress going into prep. Okay, this is I'm wearing a different shirt just because I made this video over like 2 days, a couple of days, just kind of trying to find the best words to put together with like talking about my brother. Of course, he unfortunately did pass away in my off season just before we got started with my prep. This all happened the first semester of my sophomore year of college. I am a junior now, going into my first semester. And I didn't know how to take that. I didn't know how to really process it. I was kind of in denial with the idea or the fact that my brother is no longer here. And he was my only brother. He was my one and only brother. And I looked up to him just because he was awesome. But going into prep, knowing that I'm carrying this burden, that I couldn't be there for my brother, and that I just couldn't save him, or I guess you can say, and be there for him in person as much as I would want, as much as I wanted to, I wasn't there. As I went through prep, we finished up prep, I did cardio, I did cut back on food, check-ins, here and there, of course. And then we got to the show, and going into the show, it was just do it for your brother. Just do it for him. Do it for the people who have stuck with you since you started your off season. My parents were the ones. And my brother, even though he wasn't, when he was alive, even though he wasn't in person, even though we didn't hang out together, he was just extremely supportive of me being a competitor, me chasing my passion. And then that was kind of my motive and the theme with this for my first show was for my brother. Go into it, win it for him, going to my first show. Little did I know this show was really competitive. A lot of people did the show just to even become a pro. And here's a 19-year-old going into his first show, not knowing what to expect. I didn't care. I just wanted to do it for him. I wanted to win. I felt like that. I carried myself like that. And unfortunately, I didn't win my class, nor did I win the overall course. But that kind of gave me even more of a passion, even more of a reason to compete again. So fast forward to now, I go through my health phase. I go on vacation right after my show. I decide, you know what? Let's do another show. Let's do another one. But this time I'm gonna come prepared. I'm gonna bring a better package. I'm gonna look bigger. I'm gonna look more X-frame. I'm gonna do this for my brother and for my parents, because they've till this day still support me on the decision. They're like, okay, we'll support you. We'll be there for you. And ever since then, I just never stopped training. I loved posing. I grew the passion of posing even more, going from my show into my next off season, just because I looked bigger and I looked more conditioned, and I enjoyed it even more. And I helped people along the way on my prep and when I started my off season. That's part of the reason why I became a coach, posing coach, a personal trainer as well. just because the main reason why I became a personal trainer was because of my brother. I want to be there for people who are not having the best times in their life, regardless if it's just a random person I just picked up or a person I've had as a client for a while now. I would still want to be there for them when just as much as I could be for my brother when he was going through a hard time. Just to make sure that they're doing okay. It wasn't the reason I became a coach wasn't because of, oh, I love posing, I love training. It wasn't just that. It was just the mental and the being there for a person, you know, and building a bond and making sure that they're okay and then they're getting better with whatever they want to do, whether that be in posing and training in life, spiritually, mentally. I would want to be there for them. That's part of the reason. I'm a people person. I just, as much as I try to keep my headphones in and my hoodie on in the gym, I still talk to people at the gym, unfortunately. I can't become that person that is antisocial and keeps to himself and that doesn't check up on people and never says hi to the people who work at the desk. I can't do that. I make sure that people I'm surrounded by are doing okay, that I see every single day, whether that be in class, whether that be at the gym, whether that be at home. That's the reason why I'm a personal trainer and a posing coach. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope I kind of gave y'all some of the answers if y'all were questioning, if y'all had some kind of concerns or questions on who I am and what I do and why I'm doing this whole business and becoming a personal trainer, being a posing coach. I hope I answered your questions. If you guys are interested in posing training or personal training and programming and dieting programs, please text me. I am an open book. I'm a very open guy. Text me on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, wherever you may find me on. Pretty much on every other on every platform that you can think of. Text me and we'll get started.